There's a kind of power that doesn't shout, it questions. Most men fight with words, louder, faster, angrier. They try to dominate through noise, but the wise know, truth doesn't need to yell, it only needs to be revealed. Socrates understood this. He never claimed to be right. He simply asked and watched arrogance crumble under its own weight. Because questions, when precise, are sharper than swords. They cut through illusion. They expose the truth hiding behind confidence. Today, the world has forgotten how to think. We argue to win, not to understand. We defend opinions like armies defend borders. Every disagreement becomes war. Every correction an insult. We have knowledge but not clarity. Information but no wisdom. And yet, thousands of years ago, one man, barefoot in the streets of Athens, mastered a way to destroy lies peacefully. Not by overpowering his opponents, but by making them see. His weapon? Questions. Simple, relentless questions that made the proudest men realize they didn't know what they claimed to. He didn't humiliate them. He liberated them from ignorance disguised as certainty. That's the Socratic Method. The art of asking in a way that reveals truth, disarms ego, and brings stillness to chaos. It's not about victory, it's about wisdom through exposure. In this path, you'll learn 7 questions, 7 blades of reason that can dismantle any argument, without aggression, without anger, without raising your voice. Because when you master how to question, you no longer fight for truth. You make truth fight for you. 1. The question of definition. Every argument begins with misunderstanding, and misunderstanding begins with assumption. So the first question, what do you mean by that? Socrates used this more than any other. Because words are traps, they seem clear, but hide worlds of confusion underneath. One man says justice, another says freedom, a third says truth, and none mean the same thing. Before you debate, define. Because when definitions collapse, so does the argument. Imagine someone says, "You're wrong about morality." You could fight back, or you could ask, "Define morality." Instantly, the fog thickens around them, because few know what they mean beyond instinct. The Stoic understands, clarity is control. To define is to dominate. Because once you make someone describe their meaning, you see their foundation, or their emptiness. The emotional man defends himself. The rational man defends his definitions. So, when attacked, don't react. Ask. What do you mean by that? If they can't answer, the argument ends before it begins. This is the first blade, the blade of clarity. 2. The question of proof. The second question, how do you know? Confidence is not evidence, and certainty is not truth. Socrates taught that opinion without reason is noise, and the world today is full of noise. People repeat what they've heard, not what they've examined. They claim authority without foundation. So when someone declares something as absolute, ask calmly, how do you know? That question separates belief from knowledge, ego from reality. You'll see faces shift, voices falter, because most convictions dissolve under their own weight when forced to justify themselves. The wise don't seek to win, they seek to understand what's real. Evidence, not emotion. Reason, not reaction. Seneca said, "Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance." Your task is to pull others from that medium back toward reason. So next time someone speaks with certainty, don't argue, ask for proof, and let silence reveal truth. 3. The question of source. The third question, where did you learn that? Because behind every belief stands a teacher, and not all teachers deserve your trust. The world repeats. Few people think, they echo. They inherit opinions, cultures, dogmas, and call them truth. Socrates didn't mock them. He illuminated the chain. By asking, where did you learn this? He traced beliefs back to their origin and revealed how fragile they were. The Stoic does the same today. When you hear a claim, ask not if it feels right, but where it came from. Was it reasoned or received? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, examine every impression. Because not all impressions are pure. Some are poisoned by pride, others by propaganda. So don't fight the statement, follow the source. Truth survives investigation, deception does not. This question transforms argument into awareness. It's not about defeating someone, it's about freeing both of you from inherited illusion. 4. The question of consequence. The fourth question, what follows if you're right? Every idea has a consequence. The wise follow ideas to their end, the foolish stop where comfort begins. If a man says, anger gives me strength, ask, then what happens when anger controls you? If another says, lying helps survival, ask, then what happens when no one believes you? Logic, when extended, destroys illusion. Socrates mastered this chain, what philosophers later called reduction to absurdity. He simply traced an argument to its logical end until it imploded. The Stoic applies this daily, because wisdom isn't in having opinions, it's in seeing where they lead. So next time someone makes a claim, don't resist it. Run with it, follow it to its edge, and when the end appears unreasonable, the truth will have revealed itself. That's not confrontation, it's enlightenment through consequence. 5. The question of exception. The fifth question, is this always true? Dogma is the enemy of reason. The moment a man says always, he has stopped thinking. Reality bends, context changes, but the ego craves certainty, so it builds prisons out of absolutes. Socrates shattered these prisons gently by showing that no rule is eternal if its roots are human. Ask anyone who speaks in absolutes, is this always true? You'll see hesitation, because even they know exceptions exist. This question forces humility. It returns pride to balance. The Stoic knows, the wise are flexible. Truth doesn't fear nuance. So don't fight rigidity with force, soften it with reason, because the unbending mind eventually breaks itself. 6. The question of perspective. The sixth question, could there be another way to see this? This one dismantles pride completely. Most men confuse perception with reality. They assume their view is the only one. But perspective is not truth, it's position. When anger rises, this question cools it. When ego blinds, this question opens it. Ask it not to defeat, but to remind both minds that vision changes with vantage. Epictetus said, men are disturbed not by things, but by their opinion of things. To see differently is to live wisely. So when cornered by someone's arrogance, ask calmly, could there be another way to see this? It's a mirror, not a sword, and it reflects their own limits back to them. Perspective is the beginning of peace, and peace is the ultimate dominance. 7. The question of purpose. The seventh question, why does this matter? Every argument hides a wound. Behind anger, behind pride, there's something personal. And when you reveal it, the fire fades. Ask gently, why does this matter to you? It's the question that ends wars. Because when a man realizes he's not fighting for truth, but for identity, the mask falls. Socrates used this to turn conflict into self-awareness. He knew people defend not ideas but themselves, and to make them question that is to make them free. The Stoic follows this path too. He seeks understanding, not victory. He knows that once purpose is known, emotion loses control. Every argument that begins in ego can end in reason if you lead it back to purpose. Now 7 questions become 7 tactics. 1. Clarify the words. Nothing can be solved until meaning is known. 2. Test the proof. Emotion is not evidence. 3. Trace the source. Every belief has a father. Find it. 4. Follow the consequence. See where ideas lead. 5. Break absolutes. Nothing human is always. 6. Shift the lens. Perspective creates peace. 7. Find the purpose. When you reach why, the argument ends. These are not tricks, they are shields of awareness. Together they turn conversation into philosophy and conflict into calm control. A man who masters these does not argue, he guides. He doesn't dominate, he dissolves. And in the silence after, truth stands alone. To use these questions well, you must master yourself. When attacked, stay still. When insulted, breathe. When someone loses control, don't join them. Seneca warned, he who angers you conquers you. So never let emotion write your reply. The Stoic's strength is invisible. He doesn't need to prove, only to perceive. He knows that silence used wisely speaks more than victory. When you feel pulled into chaos, return to the question. Let it guide your focus outward and your awareness inward. To question calmly is to rule quietly, and to rule quietly is to rule completely. These 7 questions are not ancient relics, they're modern weapons. You can use them in your daily battles. At work, when someone challenges your idea. In relationships, when emotions cloud truth. On social media, when noise demands reaction. Don't fight opinion with opinion. Ask. Seek reason. Stay calm. This is how leaders emerge. Not through dominance, but through depth. When others explode, you explore. When they react, you reflect. That's what separates the Stoic from the crowd. Because in a world built on noise, the quiet man who questions controls everything. Socrates never taught answers. He taught awareness, and that's rarer than wisdom. Most men die defending what they never examined. Few dare to question their own certainty. The 7 questions are not tools to destroy others. They're mirrors to destroy illusion. They force the mind to bow before truth. The Stoics learned this from him. Marcus learned patience, Epictetus learned freedom, Seneca learned restraint. And all learned that calm reason conquers louder tempers. To argue less is not weakness, it's mastery of attention. You choose not to drown in chaos, but to reveal it. Because the man who no longer needs to win cannot be defeated. So ask. Ask until illusion breaks. Ask until noise becomes silence. And in that silence you'll find what Socrates found. Not victory, but virtue. This week, don't argue, inquire. When conflict comes, ask these 7 questions. Don't seek to dominate, seek to understand. Because truth doesn't need defenders, it only needs witnesses. Question not to destroy others, but to awaken yourself. And when the moment comes, remember, silence, guided by reason, is the loudest answer of all. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.